Imagine an entire city frozen in time, empty buildings, toys scattered on the ground, abandoned schools, a place where life simply stopped. Today, we will travel to Chernobyl, or more precisely, to Pripyat, the ghost city that became one of the most frightening symbols of modern history. Located in northern Ukraine, Pripyat was founded in 1970 to house the nuclear power plant workers and their families. And it was not just any city, it was a model city of the Soviet Union. Modern, organized, full of life, and with an average age of only 26 years. About 50,000 people lived there. Young families, children, students, workers, proud to be part of a project that was seen as the future of energy. They had cinemas, swimming pools, state-of-the-art hospitals, and a sense of optimism that defined that era. But everything changed in the early hours of April 26, 1986. During a routine safety test at Reactor 4 of the plant, a catastrophic sequence of human errors and design failures caused the largest nuclear disaster in history. A devastating explosion, followed by a fire that lasted for days, released a gigantic amount of radioactive material into the atmosphere. This toxic cloud traveled for thousands of kilometers, contaminating vast areas of Ukraine, Belarus, and all of Europe. The most frightening thing is that at that moment, the population of Pripyat, just 3 kilometers from the plant, was not informed of anything at all. The morning after the explosion, the sun rose like any other day. Children played in the parks. Couples strolled through the streets, and the routine continued normally, while an invisible and deadly rain of radiation fell over the city. Some people reported a metallic taste in the air and a strange colored mist over the plant, but no one understood the gravity of what was happening. The Soviet government, in a desperate attempt to avoid panic and conceal the scale of the disaster, remained silent. Only 36 hours after the hell began, with radiation levels reaching alarming heights, did the authorities finally order the evacuation. The message broadcasted through the city's loudspeakers was cold and direct. Residents were informed that they would leave only for a few days, a temporary precautionary measure. They should take only documents and essential items. Pets were to be left behind. Buses arrived in silent convoys, and in less than 3 hours, Pripyat was completely emptied. They would never return. The lights were left on, food in the pots, clothes on the line. Life was interrupted in the blink of an eye. Today, almost 4 decades later, walking through the streets of Pripyat is a surreal experience. The silence is absolute, broken only by the wind whistling through the broken windows. Residential buildings, once full of life, are now empty shells overtaken by rust, mold, and relentlessly advancing vegetation. Inside the apartments, time has stopped. You still find personal objects that tell silent stories, photographs of smiling families, children's clothes, open books on a table, toys forgotten on the floor. Each object is a ghost of a life that was taken from there. One of the most iconic and haunting places in Pripyat is its amusement park. The great irony is that it was never officially opened. Its opening was planned for the 1st of May. For the Labor Day celebrations, a few days after the disaster, the yellow Ferris wheel, now rusted and stationary since 1986, became a global symbol of the tragedy. Next to it, the bumper cars remain motionless, stacked as if they were abandoned in the middle of a game. The feeling is that time was interrupted seconds before the joy began, leaving only an empty promise. The schools and daycare centers are also chilling scenes. Classrooms remain almost intact, with notebooks scattered on the floor, children's drawings still on the walls, maps of the Soviet Union, and in one corner, a pile of gas masks, a grim reminder of the preparation for a disaster that, when it came, was of a completely different nature. Everything seems ready for a class that never happened again. The Olympic pool with its imposing diving board over the dark, still water is another powerful image of abandonment. However, amid this man-made decay, nature is doing what we could not. It is recovering. Without the constant presence of people, vegetation has impressively taken over the city. Trees grow inside buildings. Roots break the asphalt of the avenues, and moss covers almost all surfaces. The Chernobyl exclusion zone has paradoxically become one of the largest wildlife refuges in Europe. Wolves, deer, Przewalski's wild horses, and even brown bears have returned to roam freely through the streets and forests of the region. Nature has proven its resilience, transforming a disaster scene into an accidental sanctuary, even though this sanctuary carries an invisible and dangerous legacy. Despite the lush nature, the danger is still present. Some areas known as hotspots, like the hospital basement where the clothes of the first firefighters were thrown, remain extremely contaminated and are deadly for anyone who approaches without protection. And even after so many years, Chernobyl continues to reveal new layers of its history. After the evacuation, thousands of men and women were rushed to face an invisible enemy. They became known as the liquidators. Firefighters, soldiers, miners, engineers, and volunteers who worked under extreme levels of radiation to contain the disaster and prevent something even worse. Many of them went up to the roof of the destroyed reactor for just a few seconds at a time, enough time to throw pieces of radioactive graphite back into the core. Each second, there was equivalent to a silent sentence. Most of these heroes paid with their health and many with their lives. To contain the radiation, a gigantic structure of concrete and steel was hastily built around the reactor, the so-called sarcophagus. It was never a definitive solution, just a temporary bandage over an open wound. Decades later, a new monumental structure, the new safe confinement, was slid over the reactor in one of the greatest engineering feats ever undertaken by humankind. Even so, the danger has not disappeared. Chernobyl remains a living scar on the planet. For the former residents, Pripyat never ceased to exist. It survives in memory, in dreams, and in the recollections of an interrupted childhood, of homes that still live only in the hearts of those who were forced to leave. It is estimated that Pripyat and its surroundings will only be completely safe for human habitation in tens of thousands of years. Chernobyl is not just a story about a nuclear accident. It is a silent and powerful reminder of the price of arrogance, human errors, and the devastating consequences that can arise in seconds of carelessness. Every empty building, every forgotten object, every toy on the floor tells an interrupted story. These are the stories of ordinary people who woke up on a normal day, lived their lives, and suddenly were forced to leave everything behind, knowing they could never return home. Today, Pripyat attracts tourists, researchers, and curious people from all over the world who walk through its silent streets to witness with their own eyes the result of this tragedy. But above all, it remains as a memorial, unofficial but eternal, of the thousands of lives affected, of the heroes who sacrificed themselves to contain the fire, and of a city that was once a dream and today is a ghost. If you liked this video and want to see more content like this, diving deep into stories that marked our world, don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to the channel. Your subscription greatly helps our work to continue. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time.